Hello and welcome back to my channel. My name is Cassandra and I am a mental health therapist, and I also post mental health and wellness content. Today I'm going to share with you 10 things to ask yourself when you're questioning your relationship with social media. This is a topic that comes up in therapy sessions time and time again because we are all navigating a new world of social media without fully understanding how it's impacting our brains and our mental health. And I have a few go-to questions that I tend to ask my clients when this comes up to kind of help them explore that relationship with themselves. So I figured I'd share them here so you could ask yourself the same thing. Number one is, what kind of content am I consuming on social media? Take a moment to think about the different social media platforms you use, whether it's TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, X, Reddit, Substack, whatever it is that you tend to find yourself scrolling on. And think about the different content you remember seeing there over the past month or so. What kind of things are you consuming? What is your algorithm feeding to you? Some people benefit from doing this as like a journaling exercise, so if you want to stop and write those things down, that might be helpful. But this question is really just helping us slow down and consider what we're consuming. The next question to ask yourself is, how do I feel after using social media? So this is kind of in the moment. This is right after you've turned your phone off, say to go to sleep or to go into work. Of course, there are so many variables that go into your personal social media feed and how those things will impact you as a unique person. So asking yourself, are there times that I feel anxious after getting off of social media? Do I find myself less satisfied with my appearance, my social status, my relationships? Sometimes it helps to look for physical clues as to how we're feeling. Is my heart rate elevated? Am I feeling more jittery and on edge? Do I just feel completely lethargic, unable to do other things? Does it feel harder to do the next task? Do I feel any kind of dissatisfaction or emptiness? Do I feel like my head is spinning? These are the things to pay attention to right after you shut a social media app. The next question is, how is this impacting the way I feel in general? So unlike the last question, this one is more broad. It's getting at the more global impact of social media use. Are the things that I'm seeing on social media leaving me feeling more depressed or anxious, or otherwise impacting my self-esteem in some way? Am I constantly comparing my body to things I've seen online? Am I having a harder time looking at my face because I'm used to seeing filters and Photoshop? Am I putting myself into financial debt trying to live a lifestyle that is not really accessible? Am I having trouble in relationships? Am I having more trouble connecting with people in real life? Is it changing my values? Is it leading me to glorify something that I might otherwise not? Those are just a few ways to really explore the overall impact that your social media use is having. This next one is an important one to ask yourself, and that is there anything I don't like about the way I interact with social media? Do I find myself getting angry and leaving angry comments on things? Do I find myself fighting with strangers online? Do I find myself acting out sexually in a way that is compromising to my relationship? Do I feel bad later about things that I've done online? Do I portray myself in a way that I am later unhappy with? These are great questions to ask yourself to kind of get at the level of control or impulsivity that you're experiencing with your social media use. Number 5 is pretty simple, and that is, how much time am I spending on social media? Now, for a lot of us, our phone can give us that direct information, or you might have kind of a ballpark, like I end up scrolling for 2 hours after work every day. This is a question to really face head on. Sometimes we find ourselves wanting to minimize our social media use or even kind of lie to ourselves about it, but this question is about honestly confronting the portion of your life that this is taking up. Once you have your answer from question 5, you can ask yourself this: how is my time on social media impacting my relationships? We all know that relationships these days are very different than they were in the past. We live much more isolated, individualized lives, largely to our detriment and to the detriment of our mental health. So this part is about considering, is my social media use disconnecting me from my partner or my best friends? Do I find myself sitting across from loved ones and scrolling on my phone? Does it feel like there's a barrier in my communication with friends? Do I have trouble expressing myself verbally? Do I tend to rely on the the exchange of memes to communicate. I just want to make sure to kind of disclaim that these are things that most people in our generations are going through. And at this point, it seems most realistic to strike some kind of a balance between using technology and fostering your in-person relationships. But it's just something to take a couple of moments to think about and to consider the various impacts that social media is having. This next one is kind of a fun one, and it is, what would I be doing with that time if I weren't on social media? What kind of hobbies might you engage in? What kind of projects would you want to take up? What would you spend time creating? How would you occupy your time? And if you don't know where to start with this question, sometimes it can be helpful to look back at what kind of things you enjoyed when you were a child. Did you love spending time in nature? Did you love playing in the dirt? Were you obsessed with Play-Doh? Did you love to put on skits? Or maybe it's something you've heard that just kind of seems fun or interesting. Have you always wanted to try fishing? Or have you been considering learning a new language for years? Just take a couple of moments to ask yourself, what would I be doing with this time if I weren't using it for social media? But once you've got your answer about how much time you're spending on social media, you can begin to explore, what would I do with that time if I weren't spending it there? Okay, the next important question to be asking yourself is this: what kind of advertising am I getting on my social media accounts? If you've seen almost any of my videos before, you probably know that I'm very passionate about this. I'm really disgusted by the way that advertising works and the predatory nature of it. And I always think it's so important to remember that when you are on a social media site that is free to use for you, you are not the consumer, you are the product. The consumer is advertisers who pay to put their products in front of you and who work very hard, often with teams of people, to impact the way that your brain processes their product and the way that you think about it. And within this question, I would include asking yourself about paid promotions, things you've seen influencers advertising on these various social media sites. But of course, also considering all of that classic advertising. What kind of videos are you seeing before the content that you're actually trying to watch? What kind of advertising posts are being spliced into your feed? What are the images you're seeing on your sidebar? All of that kind of thing. All of that will help you answer the next question, which is, are you spending money because of the advertising you're seeing on social media? So really thinking about a lot of your answers from the last question and considering, how often do I actually spend money because of the advertising I'm seeing? Again, whether that's coming from traditional advertising or maybe influencers, placed products, like those ASMR product videos, things like that. Did I go out and get a beauty treatment that I saw on social media? Am I impulsive with things like TikTok Shop or people's Amazon affiliate links? These brands know all these tricks about how to get you to engage, and they know that hearing their name over and over will increase the likelihood that you will start trusting it. So sometimes we have to think critically and notice, did we see a brand over and over and over until we decided that we should buy it and that we trusted it? Which kind of leads me into my last and final question for you if you are questioning your social media use. And this one is also kind of like a larger macro question. It is, who is your social media use benefiting? It's just an interesting thing to pause on and to really consider. It's an opportunity to do a cost-benefit analysis as far as what you're getting out of social media and what you're giving. Social media uses an attention economy that relies on keeping you sucked in. For many people, even though it's actually making them feel worse. It's because all of that attention directly translates into advertising dollars. Social media advertising is projected to be worth $276.7 billion in 2025. And considering the way that so much advertising functions, that is not really in the user's benefit. The point of advertising is usually to manipulate somebody into parting with their money and believing that they need your product. And very often this is done in ways that are harmful for people. But let me know what you thought. Let me know if any of these questions stood out to you or if you have any answers that you want to share. Be sure to like and subscribe if you enjoyed this conversation, and I will see you next time. Bye.